Hey everybody, I'm Kate Conroy.
And I'm Vanessa Vitello.
And this is Other People's Business, which is the podcast from the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, the largest statewide business association in the country, representing approximately 1 million employees. We release a new episode every other Wednesday, so be on the lookout for that. Shout out to New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group. They do home, auto, and workers' comp, so check them out if you need some updated coverage because they're the official sponsor of the show.
Very cool. Just a couple of housekeeping matters before we get this thing started. This podcast is available anywhere you can get a podcast. That's iTunes, Google Play, Amazon's TuneIn. We even put these things up on YouTube if you'd rather watch than listen. But if you are listening and you're listening on a network that allows for ratings and reviews, we'd love that 5-star review. Helps us get discovered by more awesome listeners just like you. If you're not listening on something like that, maybe you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, show it some love. Hit that like button, comment. Let us know you're out there and that you're loving the show. With all that out of the way, our guest today is the District Director of SCORE New Jersey, Gene Wolfe. Gene, for the benefit of our audio-only audience, say hi, let the audience hear your voice.
Yeah, hi everyone, and guys, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it today.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Okay, so today's icebreaker is, what are you currently binging? And that answer could be TV, books, movies, food. My favorite answer continues to be eggs. Shout out to Rachel Durkin of Paradigm Marketing and Design.
Well,
shout out to her.
Well, for the last year and a half, like everyone, there's been a lot of binging on food, on wine, on Netflix for sure.
All that's going to start catching up with me real quick.
Well, now we're getting out, so it's changing a little bit. So I'll answer your question. The best thing I think that I binged on this past year with Netflix was the one about the chess player, Queen's Gambit.
Gambit, yeah.
We loved it. Truly did binge on it. My wife and I watched. She binged on that. Was it Bridgehampton or Bridge?
Bridgeport's. Bridgerton's.
Bridgerton.
Like, I did too. What was the name?
and if the lead actor showed up in my house, I think I'd be history after 47 years of marriage.
Oh, that's too funny. Ben, what about you? What are you binging?
So I actually recommended Veronica Mars to Kate, and maybe like 10 minutes after that, I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to watch it again. So I threw on the first episode, got myself rehooked, and I'm in the middle of season 2 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I totally meant to do that. I meant to binge it as soon as you told me about it, because I just finished Star Wars, like 8, 9, 10, whatever, wherever it ends is where I finished.
15, 16, 17, yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. I started with like Phantom Menace, and then I did the 3 that we know, and then I did the last 3, and in between I did Solo and Rogue One, and wherever they fell. I was watching it chronologically, as you so perfectly explained, I think in the last episode or maybe even before.
Yeah, it was the one before, yeah.
Yeah, so currently though, shout out to Stephanie Laborde, our colleague in the marketing department. She told me about The Wilds on Amazon Prime. It's like where Lost meets Reform School Girls.
Can't wait.
It is blowing my mind. Blowing my mind. I'm only on like episode 5 or 6 out of 10. Unbelievable. Trust no one. It's just, I can't look away. It's fantastic.
Well, if you want to watch something funny, can you still hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Because I'm frozen on my camera here. But the actor Charles Grodin died in the last 2 days. I'm watching on TV a piece about him. And I forgot how good, I did a clip, and I forgot how good this movie he did with Robert De Niro, Midnight Run, I believe it is.
Midnight Run. Yeah.
And I forgot how good it was. I'm watching the clips. So that's something worth going back to.
I agree. Did you ever see So I Married an Axe Murderer with
Yes. Mike Myers.
Yes, Mike Myers. There is a scene where a cop
the
is
other Mike Myers.
Right. There's a scene in that movie where a cop is trying to commandeer a car, and Charles Grodin is driving, and the cop is like, "Police, I need your car." And Charles Grodin is like, awesome.
All right, very cool. Gene, tell us what you do at SCORE.
Well, let me give you a little history of SCORE. I'll give you the 30-second version, and so the viewers will understand. So SCORE is a national organization funded by a grant from Congress, which flows through the SBA into SCORE. It's an all-volunteer organization. about 350 chapters across the country, over 13,000 volunteers. All our services are free, and our mission is to mentor and educate small business community. Bringing it closer to New Jersey, I am the district director. What that encompasses is 7 chapters across the state and just about 400 volunteers. We mentor small businesses. Our volunteers come from all walks of life, whether it be attorneys or CPAs or small business people come from large corporations. I came up through the sales and marketing ranks, and as you can tell, in New York City, ultimately running several different companies, 7 different technology companies. So I've hired people, I've fired people, I've been involved with an IPO, sold a couple of companies. So I have a vast experience in managing, and again, our people come from all walks of life, and our clients cover the entire gamut of small business. You can pick a field, and we probably have clients who are asking for help.
That's amazing. So if I'm hearing this right, as the person, like let's say me or anybody like me, I could sign up and get a mentor for free?
All our services are free. You would go on our website, score.org. You would click on the proper box, and you will be assigned a mentor. They will reach out to you within 24 hours. The systems will work correctly. And yes, and people stay with us. One of our taglines is SCORE for the life of your company. So whether it be pre-startup, a startup, people who have been in business for a year or 2 or for years, and we go across the whole gamut.
Does it have to be somebody who's trying to own their own company, or could it be anyone?
Really anyone, as long as they're doing business in this country. We're literally anyone. Sometimes, or many times, sometimes people will come to us and they just have an idea, and then either they will stay with this or we will point out to them not whether it's a good idea or not. That is not our job. What hurdles they will have in opening a business, running the business. So yes, to answer your question directly, yes, it could be virtually anyone. Sometimes we even get students coming in. And I've also done work with several of the local community colleges and across the state with several, where we talk to the students and talk to the professors. So yes, it can be anyone interested in opening or running a small business.
That's incredible. It's such a huge, I don't know, gift to the world. Like, you have all this experience and you're willing to just help other people for free. It's just unbelievable.
It's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of crazy, right? But it's volunteer work. There is no compensation. So why do we do this? And the answer I usually give is because it makes us feel good. You have that expression, that old expression, I want to give back to the community. We want to give back to the community, and certainly that's true. And our satisfaction is really, if I drive by a store on Route 35 that I helped open up, it's a great feeling when people say thank you, and we couldn't have done this without you. And that's really the reward. We have hundreds and hundreds of years of experience, and it's all out there. And what is amazing to me is that when people don't reach out to us, why wouldn't you take advantage of this wonderful free resource?
I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. That's the only reason I can think of that they wouldn't reach out to you. I mean, it's so rare to me that, and maybe this is cynical, having just gotten through a year and change of COVID, but it seems like there's so little altruism in the world anymore, and it's just so nice that this is just there for people.
Last year was actually a very, very busy year for SCORE. And what we say, if not now, when SCORE? So just to give you some numbers, which are numbers, so kind of boring, but I'll run right through them. As I said, we have about 400 volunteers. Last fiscal year, which is on the government fiscal year, which ends in September, in New Jersey, we touched over 15,000 people, and that's through webinars, through we use the term face-to-face meetings. Obviously, the last year was on video, remotely, email sessions, phone call sessions. And we had in New Jersey, about a 50% growth rate. And that's one of the major reasons is people needed us, people needed the information. We pivoted, the hot word for 2020, and pivoted into a very, very robust webinar program. Everything, we had a weekly session on PPP answers, and then virtually any topic you can imagine. We developed a women's entrepreneurial circle, which ran every other week. Huge turnout. We had guest speakers from across the country. So last year was, as people are home, questions: am I going to be able to survive? Can I pivot? What do I do now? It's what do I do after the pandemic? So last year, as you say, with it hitting, was a very robust year for us and across the country.
Kate, I want you to take a note of this. Whenever somebody says pivot on this show, we should get one of those, like, you know, on the radio they do those sound effects, like you know, like one of those air horns. That should be something we do from now on.
Well, I think you should hit the mute button when we say that.
I thought you were going to say we should take a shot, which I would have been all for if this weren't a work podcast.
Sure.
Maybe later, maybe another time.
So, Gene, you mentioned the webinars. I checked out the website. You guys do more than just webinars and mentoring. There's blogs, there's advice, there's tips for all kinds of business owners and people in business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'd like to give a shout out to our marketing department. You know, I talked about 13,000 volunteers across the country. Our full-time employees down in the D.C. area in Western Virginia, there's only about 35 full-time employees, which includes upper management and a handful of marketing people. And they do a remarkable job, and the website is so robust and so deep. So yes, we list our webinar programs, but it's not only the national webinars, and literally for the year, probably hundreds, but chapters and districts, states across the country run them on a regular basis as well. So a very, very deep and robust, I've used that term a couple times, webinar program. But as you get deeper, there are prototypes, and there are business plans, and there are financial plans to use, which are, without just shouting, you know, waving our own flag, I can't tell you how many people have said to me they are really, really good. Even some of our own people who are on business for themselves. There are tips, there are questions, and as I said, ways to get in touch with people from across the country. Maybe you have a question, I don't know, about a tax question in Colorado. Well, there are people you can reach out to there. So yes, if you go on, again, score.org, it is extremely deep, and you can get buried in there with an incredible amount of information. Even it's something called Simple Steps to Starting Your Business. We'll walk you through the various steps. What's involved with a business plan? What type of entity should you consider? Or a definition and explanation of the different entities, whether it be an LLC or a subchapter. And as I said, financial planning, and even questions: are you ready to start your own business? Models to fill out. So, Vinny, thanks for the question. It is a good one, and yes, there is an awful lot on that website.
Yeah, I just want to look directly into the webcam and say this. This is all free. Okay.
So go ahead, Gene. Sorry.
I was going to say, when I give, you know, I do presentations, and used to be in front of audiences. Now, you know, for the last year on camera. But I use the term, so all this is free. So when you're selling something, free is not a good word.
Really?
When you're buying something, it's an awfully good word. Sure. And for us, it is what we're not selling anything. We're offering, and all the services are free.
So I was just gonna marvel at the idea that it's not just generalized business stuff, but very specific, like you mentioned, tax questions in Colorado. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I need a business plan, I need a template, I have a question about starting. Like, you could be deep into your business and have a very complicated tax question, free answer right here at Score. It's amazing to me.
Well, it's not only, so I use tax. That's a simple concept, well, not a simple concept, but an easy concept to get across in this type of discussion. You could have a human resources question. You could, we've had people come to us, how do I set up an LLC within the state of New Jersey? And we walk them through. Now, let's be careful. We offer all this, and we also give advice and mentoring advice that at some point you're going to need your professional services around you, an accountant, a lawyer. We, as opposed to a consultant, we mentor. And the big difference is I was a free consultant, works with you, and you pay them. So we will take you pretty far, but for legal, when you're going to have legal issues, you will have to, a client will have to seek out help. But that's down the road as you're getting deep in. No company should go into business without having a legal counsel and an accountant, an insurance person, and we say, and a score mentor.
All right, that was fantastic. I think on that note, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to play Awful or Awesome.
Cool.
And we're back, and it is now time to play my favorite game, Awful or Awesome, which today is brought to you by Prime Point, HRMS, and Payroll. I'm going to name 3 things, and you have to decide quickly if they're awful or awesome, and be prepared to defend your answers. Ready?
Yes.
All right, the first one, it's kind of a weird one. It's your first choice birthday cake flavor. And the reason I'm asking this is it was recently my mom's birthday, and I was reminded because of this long text chain that happened that when we were kids, we got to pick our own birthday cake. But as we got older, she would buy her favorite birthday cake on our birthdays. And her favorite birthday cake is a Lady Baltimore, which is white cake with a lemon filling and white frosting. Not my favorite. It's not even my top 10. I hate it. I don't eat it. It's terrible. And that would be my birthday cake and my brother's and my sister's because she liked it. So I'm going to say awesome. I have to have your own birthday cake.
Sure.
But as part of the conversation, Vinny revealed to me that his parents listen to every episode of this show. And so I just want to give a shout out.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because we were talking about this earlier, and I was telling her, like, my parents do the same thing. Like, my mom just gets whatever cake she wants. I think, like, yeah, my mom, she would get ice cream cake for a long time, and I can't stand ice cream cake because I'll eat that crumb part in the middle, but I just let the rest melt, you know? So I myself am a funfetti with buttercream kind of guy, so.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Gene? First choice birthday cake.
Well, it's kind of a funny question. Of course, ice cream cakes and so on. But as you get older and you go through life, birthday cakes, you're not allowed to have so much. You can't have the sugar, you can't have the cholesterol, you can't have the fat. So usually you end up with an orange or something. So,
I feel like I should have stopped eating birthday cake years ago as far as the rules go. But if there's a day to break rules like that, it's your birthday. Come on.
That's right.
All right. Next up is memorizing cell phone numbers. I'm just going to go ahead and say awful. I can't. I'm done. I can't memorize any more new phone numbers. Can't do it.
I don't even think I've tried. I know my wife's phone number and maybe like my parents' phone numbers, and that's really it. You know, like maybe like 1 or 2 friends. I know Brian Kibble, shout out to you. I know his cell phone.
Brian.
Number. Yes, that might be it.
Yeah. Gene, have you memorized cell phone numbers, or are they just plugged in your phone?
I used to, but there's no reason to anymore.
I agree, there's no reason to. So it's funny, this is another like mom story. I recently had to have a little surgery. My mom was in town to help take care of me. And when I came out of surgery, they didn't have a bed for me in post-op. So I stayed in the recovery room longer than I should have or than expected. And it was later. And so it got to the point where the nurses were like, ma'am, you really need to leave. And my mom turned into like full-on mama bear. She was like, listen, you have my child. I'm not leaving this hospital until I either see her or speak to her. So the nurses came back to me in the recovery room and they were like, your mom is kind of making a scene. She needs you to call her. But we don't have your cell phone number because it was in another room. And I said, well, this is a hospital. You have to have a cordless phone or something in this floor, in this vicinity. And they said, oh, yeah, we've got a cordless. They handed me the phone and I was like, I don't know her number. It's a cell phone. You have the chart. You've got to figure it out.
You got to figure there's a phone where you're sitting, and there's a phone like attached to the wall where she was sitting. It'd be like, just call the lobby.
Right, exactly. Oh my God.
But the proof of not needing to memorize, my 4-year-old grandkids, they just call. Guaranteed they're not memorizing the numbers. They press the icon, and so if they do it, there's really no reason. You have your address book, you just hit it.
Yeah, it's true. Totally true. Anyway, yeah, awful. Last one is business travel, and I know that a lot of us have not had to do a lot of business travel the last year and change, but it's probably coming back in a big way soon. So I guess I'll go first. I think it can be awesome because you can see new things and meet new people, but by and large, it can also be awful because I feel like it's kind of a slog. It's exhausting. You're figuring, it's not relaxing at all. Like you're on, and because you're out of your comfort zone, you have to stay on, you know?
I don't know. I haven't really gone many places for business. Like, I think the furthest I've gone for business was DC. But, I always love it. You get the hotel room, and, you get like a nice relaxing night. You got to do the work and everything later. But like, it's fun to like do something different, go somewhere nice.
DC is fun. It's one of my favorite cities. You're right. I shouldn't complain about DC. Dean, what about you?
DC's a lot of fun, but in my career, as you know, I'm retired. I traveled extensively, a lot, around the world. Europe, sometimes I would do 7 countries in 5 days.
Wow.
I was CEO of a company out on the West Coast. I was going back and forth. I was president of a company in Israel, which was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I had offices in in Asia. The travel, some of it's fun, wonderful relationships. One of the reasons I retired when I did it was enough. So this is not this topic is not a jovial topic, or it really tends to grind upon you. I always said when I first started my travel, I was 6'2". I'm nowhere near 6'2", and it's exhausting. And when you come back from the time zones, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And as you know, I was in the video conferencing industry, so we were talking about cutting out travel and this, and now everyone's so used to this, just what we were talking about offline. Will it come back? Yes, some of it will come back, but it won't be, I don't think, I think many others feel the similarly. It's not going to be to the extent of what it was. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, I would agree.
Did you ever stop and see the sights or anything when you were out, or is it just get off the plane, go to the meeting, get on the plane, go to the next meeting,
Well, you mix that in. I mean, if you're going so far, it would be silly not to. But the days are long. They are exhausting. The meals were great. Generally, the meals were great. What we used to do when I was running the Israeli company, and we were a very hot company, when we did the IPO, it was actually the most successful IPO of an Israeli company on the exchange up until that point. Well, we used to have clients come over from the States, and we always said, schedule an extra day. You're on ground zero for every major religion in the world, and we would schedule, tours for them. So the answer is yes, you get to see some of it, but it's not like going with your family and having it, and then having a cocktail at the at the pool. There were a lot of cocktails, but not necessarily at the pool.
Well, the next thing we're going to talk about is something I'm sure Gene would say is awesome, and that's volunteering. So, Gene, you need a lot of volunteers at SCORE. Give me some advice for people that want to get involved, either with you or in general.
Our ability to attract volunteers is the lifeblood of this organization. As our footprint is expanding, as we're getting more and more clients, and how do we get more and more clients? It is the lifeblood. And and people give their time, and some people give more than others, and then they could move on into they move, or it's time to do other volunteer. Again, as I said earlier in this podcast, the pay is not so good. If you're looking for money, not so good. But it does make you feel awfully good. Whether you choose us or others, Now, if you care to choose us, if you have a business background, whether you come from a small company, a larger company with specific skills, we would love to talk to you. And again, if you go to score.org, there's a square to click on for volunteers, and someone will be in touch with you in a very short period of time. And I would, again, I'll tell people if you want to do it, when you're walking, well, when you run into people and they say, that guy helped me, that person helped me, and thank you, it's well worth it.
Do you only take volunteers for the mentoring, or are there other things that SCORE does that require volunteers?
No, we take volunteers in 2 chapters. As I said, we have 7 chapters, and depending upon where you live, you know, you will sign up for that chapter. Because at some point, we probably will go back to regular meetings and whatnot. But that doesn't mean you can't mentor people in another zip code. You know, especially now, you can go across depending upon your skill set. But we have mentoring. We do SME, which are small subject matter experts, and you can help with webinars. You can help with phone calls. You will be part of a team, and some people just like giving the information and being that. We also need help with administration. So there are 3 or 4 different groups now. If you don't want to mentor, there are other things. You can come in and help with IT issues within each chapter, within my position within the state. I actually have someone for the state who's a district technology officer. So yes, you can do various different things as a volunteer. We encourage you to reach out. And if it's not for you, if it's not for that person, the worst thing is you made a new friend.
I love that.
Very cool. So how can people get in touch with you if they need to?
So again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but just
No,
go
record
to
away.
the best way is to go to score.org. You can walk through several different tabs, and someone will get in touch with you, whether you need information with. There'll even be a way if you want to reach out to me through there. I'd be happy to talk to you or correspond with you. But again, the most effective way is going to score.org. And even within, when you go on there, there will be a tab if you want to talk to someone locally. You click on it, you put in your zip code, and you will get your local chapter. So that would be the best way.
That's awesome. Before Kate closes us out, I just wanted to make one quick thing that today's game, Awful or Awesome, was brought to us by Prime Point, HRMS, and Payroll. So thank you to them.
Thank you. All right, I think that's our show. This was fantastic. Thank you to our listeners, especially the subscribers. We really appreciate the support. Thank you to New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, the official sponsor of the show. They do home, auto, and workers' comp, so check them out. And finally, thank you to Gene Wolfe of SCORE for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Great fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
See you next time. Bye.